He's the grand marshal of good, spicy kitchen table talk. Known to his thousands of loyal followers as Chat Daddy, he can pour piping hot tea with the best of them. He also has enough star power to get strangers together into a room, or in a restaurant, or on the radio or television airwaves, and transform them into friends like family, coaxing and witnessing them as they share parts of themselves they rarely share. In a time when the power of conversation and the shared community it creates is needed more than ever, Chicago's reigning king of talk is primed for yet another resurgence. Not that he was ever gone, mind you. He's the friend in your head whose life has been a fantastical tale of remarkable, sometimes painful twists and turns. But through it all, his ability to talk with a fearlessness, a familial love, and genuine care for everyone he touches has been the North Star that never allows him to stray too far from his calling. Please join me and one of Chicago's very own, my good friend, Art Chat Daddy Sims, in the arena right now.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Art Chat Daddy Sims. I moved to Chicago 14 years ago, and yours was one of the names. They said you want to know Chicago, you want to hear Chicago, and you know I love me a good gift of gabber. So we have been in the same spaces, but this opportunity to have you here, I always say what's so great about this privilege I have, you get to re-meet people. And every time you peel back a layer, my God, you've got layers.
Oh, yeah.
So let's jump in.
Okay.
When and where were you born, sir?
Chicago, South Side, many years ago.
Fair enough.
That's a good answer.
I'll take it.
The older you get, the more you become ageless.
When you hit a big age.
You become ageless.
Yes.
But
I'm age
born and
fluid.
raised South Side of Chicago, actually 79th Street in the Auburn Gresham neighborhood. And I'm a true Chicagoan.
Okay. Tell me about the man and woman who raised you.
Both of my parents were from the South. My father was from Georgia. My mother was from Mississippi. My mother was raised here in Chicago. My dad was an amazing chef. He was known for his barbecue. My mother was an amazing cook. She was known for her Southern cuisine and her hospitality. And then I was raised also by my maternal grandmother. At the time, it was very big for both your parents to be working, and your maternal grandmother or maternal or paternal would be the one that would take care of you.
Wow.
So,
Love it.
yes.
Siblings?
I have one sister,
Older, younger?
younger.
What was your relationship growing up, and what is your relationship now?
It's great. It's life as we know it, black family, thriving, surviving, doing what's necessary, and you just continue to move forward and do what's necessary to be great family.
Were you two partners in crime? Or partners in opportunity?
At points,
Okay.
at points and at times, yes.
Okay, fair enough. At points and at times.
At points
yes.
and at times, that's how that works.
Where'd you go to high school, sir?
I went to Luther High School South, which is no longer here in Chicago, 87th and Kedzie, a private school, a wonderful school, a lot of just great people. Throughout the years, I'm saddened that the school is no longer around, but like, many private or parochial schools, things happen and things change, but Luther South was the foundation of a great life structure of being the right person. Went to school with a lot of famous people, athlete Mike Conley, Olympic athlete Mike Conley, Common went to Luther South. So quite a few wonderful people came through the hallways of Luther South.
Did you matriculate into a college?
I did. I went to Illinois State University for a while, and then I decided I wanted to see the world. And so at that point, I became a flight attendant and was able to travel the
And we're
world.
going to talk more about that. Were you a good student?
No, not really. No, just joking.
The answer for me, though. No.
I was a great student. Very creative. I loved anything that was a part of creative arts, as far as speech, youth in government, things that, kept me in front of people. I've always had a passion for people. At the age of 10, I actually talked my way onto a kids television program here in Chicago called Bubblegum Digest, which used to come on NBC5 on Saturday mornings. And I actually was a chef on the show at the age of 10. At the age of 10.
Okay.
Yeah, a
Well,
little junior chef.
and you came by it honestly with your parents as you were talking about your parents. I had this wistfulness of, oh, I would have loved to just be in your house on any day of the week in the kitchen, just going, hello, hello. I couldn't help.
Food was never short in our home.
Okay, but good
always,
food
oh,
was never
absolutely.
short in
I
your
mean,
home.
if we didn't eat at home, my dad always was a part of a restaurant. He had a restaurant. So food was, you know, my friends used to tease me about 25-pound bags of sugar we would have at our house, but that was normal. We didn't buy normal grocery store
Right.
things. We
You were
always
Costco
had,
before Costco.
Right, yes. Before there was a Costco, there was my house.
Come on.
Yes.
What was your first paid job?
Oh my God. My first paid job was at Oak Tree Men's Clothing Store in Ford City Mall. My mom took me there, bought me a bunch of clothing, and she was like, he needs a job. She told the manager that, and he was like, well, since he has all of our clothes, he can start working here at Oak Tree. And I started working at Oak Tree in Ford City Mall.
I worked at Chess King.
Oh, I remember
We tried
Chess
not
King.
to. We were probably not, because I shopped at both.
Yes,
I
yes.
can tell you right
Yes.
now, if you and I were to compare our closets from the 80s and 90s, what were those jeans? Oh gosh,
Jabot jeans, I
Yes.
remember those. Willie Wear. It was
Yes.
it was a bunch of things
oh
that
my
we wore back
gosh,
then. Oh,
baby.
absolutely.
When they still had the pleats and
Yes,
flailed out and then
yes.
tape.
And you would wear the John Wayne shirt and all of that.
And I would work at Chess King. We'd have a nice little war with the folks at Oak Tree.
Yes, yes.
But
Well, you know, we were your more upscale
I
haberdashery.
didn't wanna
we
say
were,
it,
We
but-
were an upscale haberdashery. Yes.
we'll edit that right out.
No.
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 I would imagine that most Chicagoans came to first know you through your wildly popular radio show.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I would imagine. But you have truly been a man who has tried on many hats successfully. Let's just run a few through. You mentioned it earlier. 2 stints as a flight attendant. Still, and I need an invitation to one of these, the next one. The relationship chats, that was the other thing I heard about you, was get in the room, be a part of these conversations. Again, where you bring folks together and you chop it up and you create a space, and we'll talk more about that, but there is an art and science. Everyone thinks it's easier than it is, but there really is, watching your work, it's a passion, but it's there. You make it seem seamless. It's almost like Meryl Streep's acting, where I go, no, try it and see what happens. You are presently the assistant house manager at Guest House. Tell me about Guest House and tell me what drew you into that organization.
Guest House is a wonderful non-for-profit located in the medical district. We're located at Polk and Damon. And I've
you're a neighbor.
I'm a neighbor of yours. I've always had a passion for helping people. That's just been who I have been forever. And being someone who has gone through a medical struggle, being someone who has had to figure out, am I going to get my medicine or am I going to eat? Am I going to get my medicine? Am I going to pay rent? So I understand the trials and tribulations that people go through when they're having medical episodes. And so Guest House is much like Ronald McDonald House. Most people understand Ronald McDonald House because of their large all over the country helping people. Well, Guest House helps people of all ages who are going through very critical medical treatment. It could be transplant, it could be cancer, it could be someone who has had a premature baby. When I first started there was a couple who were in town visiting. Wife gave birth to a baby. They didn't know anyone in Chicago, didn't have any place to stay. And Guest House was able to provide those people some place to stay so they could be close to their new baby. And the baby, ended up wonderful, healthy. But it just touched my heart to know we were there to help. Very small team of people doing really great work, and we have some of the most amazing guests ever who are from around the world.
I love that word, guests.
Oh, absolutely. They're more like family.
Yeah.
They're more like family. I go to work to hug people. I go to work to bless people. I go to work to make sure people are living their best life. We don't focus on what your ailment is or what the condition is. I could care less. I want to make sure you're having a beautiful day, and that's what it's all about. Go on, get that tissue.
I'm
Go on,
gonna
get
be
that
all right.
tissue.
I'm gonna be all right.
Get that tissue.
Here's the thing. The other thing I always notice, and I always tend to ask the same 4 questions at the beginning because it already begins to tell you, no matter what, and you just proved it. No matter what the job is, it makes sense when you get to know that person that they're in it. So someone will look at you and go, "Oh my gosh!" But every flight attendant makes sense. Being the assistant manager at Guest House makes sense. Radio talk show, all of your life, when you really look at it, these disparate pieces really make sense. The one thing I got knowing, even when I met you at things like the Golden Fellowship Gala when I was in Chicago Urban League, people love you and you genuinely love people. And that some people can, just like with a good speech, for 10 minutes, you can sound like Maya Angelou if it's written for you. But doing that over the life of a career and the dash moments. And for you, I think you were just meant to do all that you're doing. But there is a through line to it that is when you really step back from the data and look at the data set, it makes sense. You're living your calling, right?
Well, if that's what you call it. I live my life because the servitude of others is the most important thing ever. When you're put on this earth to be who you are, you can either be a really good person or a really bad person. And over the course of years, people will be quick to find the bad in everything. But in reality, God put you here to be good to people, and that's what you should be. I've seen hardened criminals do some amazing things. I've seen some people who people have held on pedestals that have been the worst people ever I've had to deal with. And so I just know that God has told me, I've had 2 near-death experiences. I had a drug overdose one time that almost took me out. I've had a health issue that almost took me out. And each time God said to me, I'm going to change this for you. I'm going to make this where you're able to get up, continue to do what you need to do, but don't forget to continue to always help people. I even, work part-time in the funeral business because I just love seeing every aspect of humans.
Human experience.
And how can I touch you to change whatever you're going through to make it better? To me, I rest better when I know I've helped other people to be better.
So let's unpack that just a little bit. When did I know there were you talked about some of the challenges. There's peace in the valley. But when did you, as a human, begin to start to see that, have that understanding? Because for some of us, it takes years before that really settles in. When did that sort of permeate your spirit and go, no, there's a reason here. Even if I make these mistakes and these ups and downs, what you just described about servitude to others and choosing to be good versus using your powers for good versus evil. When did that settle in? Were you young? Did it happen in your 20s?
It's been always. It's just been a part of my life. I'll never forget, I was staying at my grandmother's house one time and a young man tried to rob me on the streets of my grandmother's money. She had sent me to the store. And I ended up just standing there telling that young man, no, I need to take this money back to my grandmother. You cannot rob me. This is her money. And he did not rob me. And just over the course of years, I have been in some situations that really I don't think, most people would have been able to survive or go through what I've gone through. I mean, I've survived the Jeffrey Dahmer days of having friends and colleagues who ended up being victims of Dahmer. I was in the same clubs and places where he was frequenting and something in my spirit said, boy, take your butt back to the South Side. Go home. Go back to your people.
Go on now.
And so I just always feel as if God has had a way of saying to me my entire life, you're able to do this, but when it gets messy and crazy, move on and the opportunity will come again.
Come on.
It'll come again.
In our pre-interview, you told me something that stuck with me. You said you've always wanted fame more than money. Unpack that for me.
Fame above money. Money comes and goes. I've been well off and I've been very poor. So I understand the ups and downs. That's how life works. That part of it, I get it. As long as you're able to live a comfortable life, do the right thing, be good to people. But fame is something that people just don't understand. Fame is something that will open doors for you. Fame will allow you to talk to people that you may never have been able to talk to. And fame will make a way for you where money, I've seen people win the lottery and be broke a year later. I've seen people who are so wealthy in their age, can't cuss, but you know what I'm
can.
saying? No,
I mean, you won't, but you say-
I know people that are super wealthy,
Okay.
and they are sphincter muscles. Let's do it like that.
Come on.
But yeah,
Use your
so,
words. Use all of your
you know what I'm
words.
saying?
I
So
do.
I
Yes.
don't. Money is one thing that'll help us to live in this world. You know,
Fame is the true currency.
the late Reverend Ike used to always talk about money and the blessing cloth and all of that. And I believe in all of the money, but the fame is what's so important and so incredible. If Oprah did not have a dime to her name, I guarantee you her fame will always keep her in the forefront.
And I believe that she said that in a 60-minute interview with a straight face that shocked the interviewer. I forgot which one it was. And I still remember that interview, and it was powerful to hear. She's like, oh, I'll be okay.
That's right. That's right.
In a 2017 feature in the venerable Chicago Defender, where you also had a very successful stint as a columnist, you stated when talking about your radio show, and I quote, "You have to use realness in everything. Let people know it's okay to be comfortable. There's only 3 stories that I haven't been able to do on that show, which I have no personal connection to. Never had a baby, never had a pap smear, and never adopted a child," you said jokingly.
Never.
But
Absolutely.
any other story that has been on that show, I can understand, or I know someone who's been through the situation. The reason why the show is so popular is just everyday people telling their life stories or how they've come to whoever they are in this day and age. That's what I like about who I am as a talk show host, said Sims.
I do. I love hearing people's stories. I love, once you start talking about a topic, and you know this, you've been in this business, people want to talk about what they've been through. They want to talk about whether or not they've gone through a drug treatment program, whether or not, they're battling, whatever the case may be, health issues. People love to talk about that, and people want to share their stories. And I think we need more platforms where people can share their stories. We are such fans of reality shows, but I look at all the ratchetness, all of the destruction that are on reality shows.
And the
where
manufacturedness
That's
of it.
right, that's right. Where if I really sat down to talk to somebody about kidney disease, or if I talk to someone about vitiligo, or whatever the case may be, that's people sharing their heartfelt selves to educate and inform others. And so, no, when I was just doing the nightly show, there was very few topics that I did not understand. Most people go, wait a minute, how does a black gay man understand about what a woman is going through? Everybody wants the same thing. Why would I not understand what she's going through? We might be fighting over the same person.
Oh,
Sympathize.
I understand.
Sympathize.
Empathy
Sympathize.
is everything.
Come on.
But here, you just hit the nail on the head. And part of the work we're doing here, in this dash moment, this inflection point, it really is what we're putting into our systems. But 2+ pandemics in, even me as an introvert, I am craving human connection. I think what you do, and what you do so incredibly well, and the others like me work to emulate and model, but we look at it with respect, is you create spaces for storytelling, but what you do is also allow people to sit in the room who may not know each other and not see each other as others, but see each other as Art and Darius. So what that does is lay the foundation where we can have deeper, uncomfortable conversations, because my default position is not to see you as a statistic, it's to see you as Art, a full 360 human. That's what I think the power, and we said in the opening, why what you're doing, I smell it. I smell another resurgence. It might be on CAN TV. I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know. We just have to let it percolate.
Is it sweet or is it savory?
Both.
Oh, okay. I
It's
can go
both.
with that. Okay,
Oh,
I can go with
it's
that.
all those
Okay,
things.
all right,
Yeah.
all right. Yes, because sweet and savory turns into funky.
Come on. Oh, come on.
Right,
Yes.
turns into funky.
Let me switch gears because
Yes.
this is, we talked about this and it's powerful. We think we know people on one level, but certainly with public figures, they are these whole rich humans. So I want to talk about one of your very human experiences.
Okay.
In 2013, you were diagnosed with leukemia. You stated in previous interviews that the news was devastating to you. Walk me and our viewers through the journey from devastation to treatment and ultimately cancer survivor.
Woke up one day feeling really, really bad. Thought as if I had the flu. Just couldn't shake it. Did not know what was going on, what was wrong. Ended up going to my primary care physician. My primary care physician and I have been friends for a number of years, and I used to always say to him, if you ever had anything to say to me bad, take me out to eat to tell me. Don't tell me in your doctor's office. I said, I don't care what it is. Take me out to eat and make the blow, soften the blow.
Yeah.
And he came in and he was crying and he said, things are saying that you have leukemia and it's really bad. And I said, it is? And he says, yes. And I was rushed to the hospital.
From the visit to the doctor?
From the visit to the doctor, straight to the hospital. And from there, I had no phone signal, couldn't even tell people where I was, any of that. And that's when they found out I had leukemia, and I had a very rare form of leukemia. So then it was a lot of treatment. I was on medicine that was $10,000 a month, just losing teeth, weight loss, just a plethora. So even, through all of that journey, I was trying to find support groups that would help me out, and come to find out that there were very few black men in my category that even had the type of leukemia I had. I have since found a young man who actually, I'm close to him now, who he was diagnosed with the same type, but it was just a struggle of trying to stay employed, trying to stay healthy, trying to keep a roof over my head, trying to figure out about $10,000 a month medicine, where the co-pays were $900 for the medicine. And it was just a journey that was just unbelievably, just crazy. It just went from one extreme to another, and I'm just so grateful for the people who took the time to help or, do whatever they could to lessen the blow of me being diagnosed with this leukemia. But God saw fit that I would go into remission, and he saw fit that I would now speak to people about when you go through these type of situations, how you just continue to stay faithful, how you continue to stay strong, do what's necessary to make yourself come out on the other end victorious.
All right, Chat Daddy, I'm gonna put a pin right there because the doors of the church were open. I'm gonna say on behalf of A Grateful Chicago, thank God he wasn't through with you yet, because we ain't through with you yet. And speaking of not being through yet, we're going to take a quick break, but we're coming back with our final segment. But thank you for this. Thank you for
pleasure.
being who you are. I knew we would have this conversation. We're going to have many more, my friend.
Okay.
Stay with us. We'll be right back with Three for the Road. My goodness, come on.
How was it, you all?
Well, then let us hear it. I mean, you can share.
What's going on, Chicago? I'm your host, Darius Caffey of The Table on Air, and I want to tell y'all that next week we're going to have a special guest from the creative arts scene, so you're not going to want to miss this one.
I've done so many things, but I think what I bring to every single environment is I try to assimilate to whatever environment I'm in and notice the culture of that.
Check us out every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. on CAN TV Channel 19, the CAN TV Plus app, or cantv.org.
Chat Daddy, you know what? I'm gonna need a name because I love it and it suits you. Chat Daddy.
I know. A DJ named me that.
He did a good job.
He named me that. Yes.
Our final segment, Chat Daddy Art Sims, we call this Three for the Road.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you three questions. You're gonna give me three answers.
Okay.
Are you ready? All right. First question. If you could have dinner with any person living or dead, who would you choose and why?
Would it be one person?
I'll give you two.
Okay, Oprah, living, and Maya Angelou,
Give me the wise for each.
ancestor.
Come on.
She actually prophesized over my life one
Maya.
time when I interviewed her. And it was just the most touching, beautiful moment ever. But I would want to reconnect with her to talk more about what she was telling me that day. And the reason I choose Oprah is I just think she's the most amazing person. And if I was able to sit down and have dinner with her, I think the entire trajectory of my life would change
In
because
that
of Oprah.
conversation. Wow. Great first answer. Ready for two?
Yes.
Do you have any regrets?
None whatsoever. If I die today or tomorrow, it's all been joy. Count it all joy. Through all of the struggles, heartache, pain, whatever the case may be, I count it all joy.
Final question. 2 for 2. One piece of advice present day Art would have given his 21-year-old self.
Oh, Lord, and I can't cuss. I would tell myself I would have done everything so much more differently. Oh, I would have done it all so much more different. I went down the path that I went down because it was right then in the time that I grew up. But if I had to do it all over again, I just marvel at how our young people are so open, honest, living their truth, their reality. So if anything, I would tell my young self again, do what you wanted to do to begin with, not what you thought was the thing to do.
I'm going to expand on 3 for the Road because it just feels good. And I'm going to build on what you just said. If you could do one thing, and I'm talking professionally first, you've either done before and want to do again or haven't done and want to do, what if there were nothing in your way and you could just take all of this and do that, what would it be?
Oh, a talk show. It would be a talk show.
Would it be radio or television?
I love radio. Radio is an amazing thing because you can walk in, be who you want to be. But when you do television, you have to relate to people. You have to relate to people from head to toe.
Yeah.
You've got to bring it. You've got to serve it. You've got to have the right formula and the right combination. I look at the fact that so many people have talk shows, and I'm not a hater. But I do think a lot of things could change with a lot of the talk shows that we see. And I just think that we as African American men need to be seen in a better spotlight.
Absolutely.
We need to be seen as authorities when it comes to talking about our problems, our issues, who we are, how do we build bridges with other people. So I would want to be a talk show host again.
Ooh, listen, you just, and again, we don't know what God is up to. Would your talk show have live call-in?
Oh, it would have any and everything it needs to have.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
We'd have little cherub babies
Little
flying around.
Oh,
shooting
love it. Oh, come on.
Arrows. Oh, we
Okay.
would
Maybe
have
a lot-
fire
maybe a
dancers.
band or-
We would have all of that.
I
We'd
love
we'd
it.
have all of that. It would be Mardi Gras, but it would have a purpose. Come on. It would have a purpose. The show every day, I want you to have a takeaway. I want people to leave the show with a shopping bag full of things.
Oh, come on. Art, Chat Daddy Sims. Pleasure is not even the word, sir. I knew it was going to be delicious and we were going to luxuriate in the conversation. You are one of the folks that I look to as I sit here in this chair and say, how do you do this sort of thing well? So with that, I say thank you, thank you, thank you. We're not done. You know we're not done.
Thank you, my
Thank
friend.
you.
This has been beautiful.
Thank you. And thank you, Chicago and beyond, for joining us in the arena tonight. I want to leave you with a final thought, courtesy of American author John Ford. You can speak well if your tongue can deliver the message of your heart. Until next time, take good care of you and each other. Good night. Good night, Art Chat Daddy.
Good night, my friend.